Welcome to the Crinkletalk Podcast number 2 with Tim and Jared with an outdoorsy feel. And we're back again. We haven't been arrested yet. The banana company hasn't come for our heads.
I don't think you can actually get arrested for that.
But here we are. We switched things up. We moved our soundproof studio from my kitchen over to Jared's garage with the door open, so we have the lovely birds tweeting in the background. You can kind of see the river from here too, so we got a nice little view.
It's good ambiance.
As long as we don't look behind us to all the dirty vehicles and lawnmower and stuff, but pay no attention to the cans of gasoline. We'll try not to drink those.
I was going to say, if we say something tastes really funny, that could be what it is.
Might have poured the wrong one.
Yeah.
So we have our wonderful cooler of Walmart plastic bags here.
It's got ice in it, though.
Oh, it's got ice. Well, we're classy.
Plastic bag with ice in it.
That is what you call an Iowa cooler.
So I'm not sure where Tim wants to start, but that is the one.
Okay, so we're going to start with an Iowa beer. And this is from Exile Brewery. And I think you're going to say what? Pasteur de Fleur?
I don't speak French.
Yeah, it's a dry hopped French Saison with hibiscus.
And it's actually a collaboration with Lionsbridge in Cedar Rapids, I believe.
Yeah, they're gold medal winner this year too, I think. And I've heard good things about this one, but I haven't had it.
About this beer?
Yeah. Exile is kind of known for their like sours and funks and stuff like that, and they're not like ridiculously sour, but they're usually nice tart ones, really good for good summer beers. Most of them I've had.
Well, this one looks reddish. There's something going on there.
Yeah, got a good kind of orangish hue to it. Good carbonation. I'm just going to dig right in here.
You think that's the hibiscus making it that color?
Yeah, I think so.
Do we even know what hibiscus is?
It's a flower. Can you tell from the little picture on there, that pink picture? That
I figured that was just French stuff.
Yeah, it's just French stuff.
Yeah,
just,
French people
just
and
French
flowers.
flowers. Because we all know how Frenchies like their flowers.
It's true.
Oh, we both took a drink at the same time. We had dead air. That's not how to do it.
Oh, I'm all right with that.
I like it. A little funky.
It's a lot
little
funky.
Sour. But I'm going to go back for more here.
I'm not sure yet on whether I'm enjoying that or not.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the normal flavor from Exile's Funky Brews. There's that little bit behind, almost like that gauze type Saison, where it's a little tart but salty in the background. But
So like a Band-Aid.
no,
Oh.
not like a Band-Aid. Gauze, the sour beer smartass.
Oh.
Salt. Yeah.
I didn't know where you had put a
Not-
Band-Aid that it was salty and
Well,
nasty
like
tasting like
surgical
that.
gauze. I don't know what you eat on your off time, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I guess I'm not familiar with what a Saison is supposed to taste like to begin with. So I'm not sure if that's typical of the flavor of that or if this is entirely different.
this tastes very similar to. I just actually had a Funkwork Saison last night.
One you
and-
get on clearance, I'm assuming.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, you never pay
You
full
can't buy
price for
Funkwork full
Funkworks.
price. No, not on Iowa salary. You can't do that.
No.
But they are. They're a light-bodied beer. There's a little bit of that saltiness in it too, and a little bit of tartness to it. A great summer beer, and it is very similar to this. This has, you can taste that hibiscus or fruitiness forward in the beer, and then you kind of get that tartness and saltiness towards the back of it. That's what I'm getting.
So would it be typical to be at an 8.3 alcohol by volume? Because that's what...
For a Saison, no. Saisons are actually low alcohol. Traditionally, I think they're closer to like 2 to 3.5%. Most of them you're going to see are probably in that 4 to 5.5%. But everything's bigger nowadays, so I didn't even realize that was 8.5. It's really smooth for
I was reading it because it was facing me. I don't know. It's got a very sour, bitter Barney flavor to me.
Which is what you want from a saison, which is a farmhouse ale. So
Makes sense. Now, do we know what the translation of whatever that is in French?
didn't you take French in high school? Because I took Spanish.
I took Spanish as well. I've never seen that French really had a purpose because I'm not going to France, and if a French person comes up to me, I'm going to ignore them and walk away.
I've
They
been to
smell
France,
usually.
and I will say I did not notice smell of people in France, and everybody, it was split 50-50. Half the people were ridiculously nice, and the other half the people were total jerks.
Now, did you gauge the jerkiness to like the armpit hair length? Were people with more armpit hair more likely to be jerks, or were those the friendlier people?
I don't know that I noticed that, but to be fair, the hotel we were staying at was full of X-Game athletes because right next door was a stadium that they were competing at that whole couple days we were there. So I did spend quite a bit of time in the hotel bar with those guys, hanging out with Tony Hawk and Mad Mike Jones and those guys.
And what do you think they would think about this beer? That's the real question.
Most of those guys are either drinking hard alcohol or drinking low, like a Coors Light or something like that, and just slamming them.
Makes sense.
Then you have like the Godfather Tony Hawk who just walked in. Everybody kind of paid their respects, and he just walked around saying hi to everybody, and then he goes back to his room. He never had a drink. So.
And that's why he's a professional athlete. He
That's
doesn't
right.
need to drink to be doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Huh. Is that my problem? Is that why I'm not a professional athlete?
That and a multitude of other things, Tim. You've got a lot going against you, actually.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Same reasons I won't let you in my house is why we're drinking in the garage. Those would be the same reasons why you're not a professional athlete.
I threw up on your couch one time, and I'm banned from the damn house.
Yep. And your vulgarity and all of that other stuff.
My vulgarity?
You pee on my floor,
Like
everything.
I'm worse than you?
Yes. Much worse. So what did you bring today, Tim? What other beer did you bring?
I just brought a fruit IPA that one of my friends brought back from Denver, Colorado.
I just noticed it had a wax label on it.
Yeah, and I was looking at it before I came over, and it's actually only 4.1% alcohol. And you usually don't get a wax bottle on anything that's under like 10, you know?
Yeah, I'm guessing they just put the wax on it to increase the price and it, trying to influence buying purchases by making it look fancy.
I don't know anything about it. I was looking at a couple of websites before my friend went on the trip to Colorado and just kind of randomly picked out a list of beers for them to get me, and they couldn't find half of them and brought me back the other half, and that was one of them.
That's good.
So we'll see if that's any good.
And this week I was looking for Surly's Pentagram, but our market around here, I could not find it in Wacoma. They don't sell those types of things. I was able to find Bud Light and Bud Ice at the local grocery store.
Did you get to Decorah? Have you
I
been
did.
through that?
I went to the place where I would normally go in Decorah, but they didn't. All they had was their normal Surly 4-packs that they've had. They did, over like the holidays, they had whatever their bourbon barrel one was over at that time. So I thought they might have got this one as well, but they haven't as of yet. I'll continue to check because it will not sell out there if they do get it there.
I know Cedar Falls had it, but I didn't make it down, so I'm sure it's all gone by now.
Yeah.
But on our friend Pat from Moline, Quad City area, he actually happened to get down to Bet River Brewery yesterday because they had a special release of their double uncommon stout barrel aged, and he picked up a couple of 4-packs. So one of those bad boys is for me next time I see him.
That's if he ever comes up to see you. I believe he was supposed to be the next one to do this podcast, and what happened to him there?
He claims that he fell down the stairs in the middle of the night and hurt his ankle.
And I believe that he fell. Like, that does not shock me at all.
He
Not
probably
God's
fell,
gift to coordination.
and then he got hungry and started chewing on his ankle. That would be my guess.
That would make more sense.
If he could get his ankle to his mouth, I don't know.
Yeah, he might have been chewing on somebody else's ankle, and they told him that it was sore, and, then he didn't know what to do about that.
So the reason we say that is because Pat is, I don't know, probably, 6'2", 6'3".
I thought you were going to say 600 pounds is where you were going
Probably
with
about
that.
350 would be my guess, 350 pounds, kind of looks and smells a little like a beluga whale.
He smells like where I think this beer would have came back, from going full circle. Like, if there was a dirty barn with some blankets in it and things like that, I picture he may smell like that. I haven't smelled him in years, but
You're lucky.
yeah, I just haven't been within a 15-mile radius, so I haven't had to pick that smell up at all.
He's an interesting character. We'll have him on the podcast sometime, and everybody will know why we make fun of him. So you didn't really like this one.
It's not growing on me. I mean, it's not bad. I would drink it again, but it's not one I would buy again. Like, if you bought it and offered it, I would drink it.
Of course, if I gave you free beer, you'll drink it. But
Yes,
if
but I wouldn't reject it. It's not like yours or Chad's beer, who at times I have to say, no, that's disgusting. Let's drink something that's not disgusting.
There are times with my beer or Chad's beer I have to do the same.
I figured you were going to bring one of your ones that we had made together that were rotten and nasty.
Oh, that'll be a great one for the podcast. We, years ago, when I first moved up here, I brewed, I don't even remember what it was, but I brewed something over at
It was
Jared's
just a
house.
wheat.
And he had some wine fermenting, and I fermented the beer next to it. And somewhere along the way, it got infected. And if you ever heard the term horse blanket, I now know what that tastes like. But it's actually been cellaring in my basement because I've been too lazy to carry it upstairs and dump it.
And I think I've carried some of it up the stairs to dump it for you.
Yeah,
but there was such a quantity of it.
I'm pretty sure there's still at least a case down there.
That we've not made it out.
So
Even when your basement flooded, we didn't get all of that out.
Something to look for on podcast number 3. We will bring out a horse blanket beer several years down the road. I mean, that's been probably 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We'll see how it
kind of old.
aged.
Well, and I think one of the podcasts, we just need to grab beers that we would not normally enjoy or ones that we would not normally get and just see how horrible of a show we can have. Just grabbing
Well, it can't
random.
be any worse than drinking beer that we like, right?
Oh, I think it could be much worse. I think if we're pulling in 40s and things like that, imagine when we try to get the podcast done in an hour and we have to finish a 40 between the two of us. That should be quite the show that we have there.
We are going for 12-ounce bottles in this so that we don't, so that we can walk from the garage back to the house, I guess, would be what we're saying.
We have the four-wheeler if we have to get back up there otherwise.
Now that would be a fun podcast. We'd have to talk really loud because we're driving on the four-wheeler.
You should have seen his face when he just did that.
Can we get a 4WI?
I bet we could. And we don't have a title for the four-wheeler. It doesn't have any insurance. And you have to be licensed to be able to drive that. And, well, we're not. So deal with it.
Well, Jared just poured us another fine-looking brew.
And I poured it hard.
Okay. Not really sure why I said that, but...
It's a nitro beer.
It is a
so
nitro
you have
beer.
to pour it hard. You can't pour it gently or you don't get the nitro. Tim apparently doesn't understand his beers.
This is from Three Sheeps. It's Cashmere Hammer. I love
One of
name.
the best names I've ever
That
seen
is
in a beer.
a fantastic name. It's a Nitro Rye Stout. I have enjoyed nitro beers on tap, but to be honest, I have not really enjoyed any from bottle or can so far. So we'll give this
I
one
enjoyed
a
the
shot.
left-hand milk stout, the nitro there. Have you ever had that one?
I did, and I prefer the regular over that. I had the Nitro Old Chub from Oscar Blues, and not nearly as good as the regular Old Chub.
Well, nitro's becoming big, so there must be other people besides you, Tim, that
Obviously,
enjoy things
I'm
that are
not the only
delicious.
beer consumer out there because, yeah, everybody's doing it. And Sam Adams has their whole list out right now.
Yep. And Three Sheeps is a little brewery out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Sheboygan.
Every time I go to Wisconsin, I look for their beers because they're some of the better ones that we've seen. And they actually just had a tap room opening this weekend, so they did a bunch of special releases and things like that. If I could have got down there, we would have went there, but Sheboygan is nowhere near here. We may have some special dog visitors within the next 15 minutes here as well.
We now have 3 dogs within 20 yards of us running around playing. So,
2 of them not leashed.
This is actually pretty decent. This might be one of the best nitro beers I've had out of a bottle.
And that's what I'm telling you about Three Sheeps, is they're just consistently good. Everything I've got from there has been fantastic. I've only had their darker stuff. I've never really had anything light from them. But everything that comes from there is really good.
We all know what a fan Jared is of Sheeps, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. Now apparently he likes the brewery 3 Sheeps too.
I am fine with that. Whatever Tim wants to say about me and sheep, that's his prerogative.
I have video to prove it too. Don't ask how I got it.
Because he asked to videotape it, is why.
That is ridiculously smooth.
And what is the alcohol content on this one?
6, I think 6.5.
6.5. And I read somewhere that a rye stout, usually the rye is overwhelming and I don't know what flavor profile it has. And that's why they put the nitro in this beer. They made it nitro to make it smoother, to compensate for the rye.
That makes sense, because ryes usually kind of slap you in the face with them, and they're either fantastic or disgusting. And this one's pretty good.
Yeah.
The best part about this little dog show that we're getting, it's this little 10-pound Pomeranian going up against 2 giant frickin' Huskies, and the Pomeranian's winning. It's little dog syndrome.
Yeah. These dogs come and visit my yard every morning, and then my dogs chase them back into their yard, and then I have to go get my dogs because my dogs won't come back. But it's a daily routine that we chase these dogs back into this yard.
And I'm pretty sure that I've seen Jared poop in the neighbor's yard after the dogs have pooped in his yard.
Sometimes you have to prove your dominance, mark your territory, show who's the boss.
It was pretty awkward last week when we were over here, and the lady came over to talk, and Jared just peed on her leg.
Well, she smelled like another dog. I had to do what I had to do. Tim's
Podcasting at its finest right here.
Well, last week, or whenever we did the last one, people said that we were dry and there wasn't enough going on, so we feel like we have to shake it up now.
Well, I don't know who you talked to, because everybody I talked to said, oh, it was actually pretty good. I didn't expect that.
Were you able to identify the 20 people that actually listened to it, or were there random people that maybe don't know us that actually listened?
I actually have absolutely no idea. I'm sure there's probably a way that I can identify that. I did put it up on our Facebook so our friends and family could listen to it, and I know that several of those did. But I did also open it up to some of the Iowa beer groups that I'm on, and I know at least 3 or 4 liked it, so I'm assuming that they listened to some of it. If they listen to all of it, next time you guys get to Northeast Iowa, I will buy you a beer, because good job, congratulations.
I listened to it. Does that mean you'll buy me a beer?
I pretty much always buy you beer.
Hey, I've supplied the first 2 tonight.
You
so.
have, but I'm pretty sure I supplied like 7 of the last 8.
I can't help it if you bring all the beer. And I think I gave you beer last weekend when we were drinking and not doing a podcast.
You did. One of my favorites, too, from our local one in Cedar Falls, Single Speed Brewery. And it's their brewed ×2 nice coffee ale. And I think it's Sidecar Brewing, the coffee company just down the road from them that they work with.
And it was unfortunate that I had a growler, because that meant I had to drink it, 3 nights in a row, just to make sure it was gone. Not because I wanted to drink it, but because I need to make sure the carbonation stayed there.
I had went the other way with that, and I actually bought an attachment for plastic bottles. So the last podcast, I think we finished off with that barrel-aged peanut butter porter, and I still have probably close to half a growler left, and I'm not worried about it because I have this fancy new attachment for my CO2 tank where I can just put the beer in a plastic bottle, like let's say a used Pepsi bottle that I've cleaned out, and I can just pop that little carbonation cap on it and bring that beer back to life.
I'm wondering if it'll be as good, though, as it was originally.
Probably not, but it's better than trying to drink an entire 64-ounce growler of 11.5% beer in 2 nights.
I don't see a problem with that. Sometimes you have to take one for the team.
I suppose. But sometimes you have to get up and go to work, too.
That's true.
Or you won't be able to buy any more 64-ounce growlers.
That's true. And I do go to Des Moines next weekend, so I may have to stop at one of those places where you stopped when you were down there. What is that, the Hy-Vee Market Grill, to get a cheaper growler?
Yeah, Hy-Vee and Ankeny.
And Anki?
Anki. Yep.
You have drank part of 2 beers, and you already cannot speak.
I have actually been drinking very little over the last few weeks, other than with you. There's something about you that makes me want to drink.
It happens.
It does. The Hy-Vee in Ankeny is fantastic. They have one of the best beer selections in all of Iowa that I've found personally. But those market grills, you can fill a 64-ounce growler for like $7, $8, $9. Where if you go to get the same beer from the brewery, it'll be like $14, $15.
Now, do they post what they have on tap anywhere for those, or is that just more a random?
I honestly have no idea.
Because it'd be ideal to know to make sure they had something you wanted. Because also now the gas stations near and by Des Moines also will do growler fills.
If you remind me later in the week, I can contact some of the people I follow on Twitter. I know one of them actually, her husband is part owner of 515 Brewery, and she works at an Ankeny Hy-Vee, and I could always ask her.
Yeah, that'd be good to know, just so that for my awareness, because if I have to take in 2 growlers and just keep one sealed up really well until the next time we do one.
Because I would love to get anything from Alluvial. We haven't tried them yet, but I've heard wonderful things, and I'm such a big fan of 515. All of their IPAs and pale ales are fantastic. And last time I was there, I had their coconut porter, and I don't like coconut, but that was ridiculous. I've been craving that since I've been there. So definitely something that's worth getting, whether you have to go to the brewery or get it from Hy-Vee, it doesn't matter. It's worth it.
Yeah. Well, it's a little harder if you have to go to the brewery, because you might have to go out of your way a little more to do that. If you can just go to a Hy-Vee and get it, that's a lot more accessible, a lot easier. And from what we found out, the price is generally a little cheaper than if you go actually to the brewery.
It is, but that's a nice brewery to go to. They got a really nice little tap room there, and service has always been great. Everybody's been super friendly.
Unlike the ones around here where we've been, and they're not friendly. I'm just going to continue to preach that message to everybody.
And when he says that, he means north, not south.
Yeah, I've never had a problem going south. When I go barely to the north, and I'm not even talking 2 places barely to the north, if you just go a little bit away from here, people are not friendly. And I suppose when you have the best beers in the world, according to whoever votes that stuff in, you can treat people how you want. But they're not going to treat me that way.
You go, girl.
Mm-hmm.
He just did that little snap thing. He's like, uh-huh. Don't you forget about it. I don't know what I just said. Anyways,
he doesn't know.
We need to go to Pulpit Rock again sometime. We
do.
only went there once, and they've been doing some newer stuff that's getting them some attention lately. I think we need to try that out.
They don't have a very good internet presence. They don't do a lot on Twitter. They don't do a lot on Facebook, so you don't really know what's happening there. So they may be releasing things that we're not aware of or doing stuff like that. They just not a very good social presence like that, which makes it a little bit harder because you don't want to pop in there and end up getting, something that maybe the next day they're going to release something even better. But I guess that's their choice to do that, and we just have to go when we have an opportunity.
I think that's kind of the norm for all the breweries up in this area. I see a lot not as great social media presence for those. I mean, some are better than others, but they're still not great. I guess there's Toppling Goliath is working on getting a beer list up, but it's not consistent.
It is not.
I know Single Speed does have a blog up that always has their updated.
It's not always updated, though, because last week when I went to get that growler, I went to get the one that was their collaboration with Pulpit Rock, and it wasn't there. But the last time they had posted their beer list was like 5 days prior to when I was there, and they hadn't updated. So that would be a nice thing to have if you're going to update it to take off the ones that you don't have. So. Correct. Especially with a popular one. I mean, some of the ones around here, they're always going to have certain things on tap, but if you have something new or something different, it's going to go a lot quicker.
We're hoping to get to Single Speed here for one of our podcasts coming up. Austin, one of the brewers there, has kind of become my internet friend, and I went over and talked to him before and had several beers at the tap room and hung out with him, and he's a great guy, and he has agreed to join us on the podcast at some point.
He obviously has not listened to one of these yet.
Well, obviously, why would you agree to do that if you had heard what this is? But Thankfully, he has not listened to one of these yet, and he has agreed to it, and I'm going to hold him to that. And I just said we're going to come down to the tap room and we're going to order a couple of flights and just do what we're doing now, which is nothing.
Correct.
And make people listen to it.
And we maybe need to figure out something that he would enjoy, something maybe he doesn't have as much access to that we could bring, because
Absolutely.
oftentimes if you share, then others share alike, and that's an all right thing to have happen.
Maybe we could bring him one of those infected wheat beers.
Oh. If we do that, though, I'm afraid they're going to want to put it on tap, and I don't think we could produce it again.
I don't know that I could do that, yeah. Last time I did see him, I did take a bottle of my IPA I did for Christmas time, which was a 12.5% IPA made with all fresh-grown hops, or homegrown hops. And I guess they weren't really fresh because we put them in the freezer.
Still fresh. They're just frozen.
They're freshly frozen, just like that Hardee's commercial.
That's
And
correct.
also used your grape juice.
Yep.
That from your vineyard that you grew, and
That we're sitting just, feet from right now.
I think it turned out pretty good. It's not quite what I envisioned, but it was interesting. It was very drinkable, and there's definitely tweaks that I would do to it for next time if I was going to try to repeat something similar. But overall, not bad.
Yeah, and we'll have different varieties of grapes within the next few years, so we can always change things up. We're getting out the next beer. We are running into a problem in the garage, though, that we have lots of foam from the previous beer. And so now going to a lighter beer, we may have residual crap in our glasses.
Residual crap.
I was waiting for Tim to
be
finish my sentence, but
technical
clearly
there.
he did not want to finish my sentence.
He just opened up this big ass can of gunpowder.
And I've actually had this before, but I had told Tim previously that I would save the last can and share it with him. I quite enjoy this beer.
That's very similar to Saving the Last Dance.
Great movie
But
with, who was that lady that was in that?
Probably more romantic.
Who was the little white blonde-haired girl in Save the Last Dance?
Reese Witherspoon.
It was Julia Stiles, Tim.
Oh, well.
If you're going to bring up movies, make sure you know your
Aren't they the
facts.
same? I'm pretty sure those two
There's
are
probably not
interchangeable.
much of a difference. So what we just poured is from what I'm not entirely sure. When I look at this can, it's got a whole lot going on, but it says on the top, the Brewing Project. I'm assuming that is the name of the brewery. And then it is gunpowder, ale brewed with green tea, and it's an IPA, and it is 6.8 alcohol by volume. And judging by the picture on it, which has gunpowder and then some barrels and stuff, it must have Citra hops, Centennial hops, and then whatever gunpowder green tea is. Tim, do you grow gunpowder green tea at your house? Is that correct? That's what we've talked about in the past?
That seems very unrealistic, but sure, yeah. I grow green tea at my house.
Isn't that your house that you have in Asia? One of your vacation homes?
Naturally, yeah, one of my 7. I have them all over the place because I am independently wealthy. Really what I like to do with my disability is get into car wrecks, and then I come out of the car stumbling and walking like a penguin like I normally do and go, "Oh my God, what did you do to my legs?" I know it's kind of cheap, but it has helped me get property in 7 different countries right now and a green tea farm.
In Asia, somewhere. We're not sure where.
So, I don't have a passport, so I've never been there, but I have one. So.
Yeah. The passport is what costs you too much. The land in Asia is it's like Bud Light in Iowa. It's cheap, and everybody has some. Tim has tried it. I'm interested to see what his thoughts are on this one because I quite enjoy it. It's a lot different than what we drank. It doesn't have the stank of the one from Exile. It's not beautiful and exquisite like the one from Three Sheeps. It's a different beast unto itself.
I like it. It's fruity. There's just enough bitterness there, but it's not overpowering bitterness, which is the way I like my IPAs. I don't like to be slapped in the face with bitterness. I get enough of that at home. So
It's not bitterness, though, that he's slapped in the face with.
the green tea you can taste, and it's not. It's a subtle green tea, but it's there. I don't know. We've had the Stone green tea IPA before.
I have had that one, and I
I-
thought it tasted like garbage.
I would say that this is way better than that. Yeah.
I totally forgot about that one from Stone. And I generally like Stone, but I would have never have purchased that more than once. I thought it was one of their worst ones that I had.
Yeah, I
bought.
did not really enjoy that one either, and I'm, again, big fan of Stone as well.
And I'm a big fan of Stone's Bombers. I don't think I've ever drank anything in their 12-ounce size, so I cannot really judge that. But in their Bombers,
They are a typical West Coast beer, which is usually really hop heavy and more bitter than what I traditionally like, but they're still good beers. But yeah, the Bombers have usually been fantastic. The green tea was not my favorite by any means, but this gunpowder is pretty darn tasty.
and this is a brewery out of Eau Claire. It's another French thing that we have going on tonight. The French part of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, and I don't know
across
anything
the
about
river.
this place, this brewing project. Although now I'd be a little more interested to find out what they have going on.
I would bet it's it's probably one of those package breweries.
Like where they have you vote on Twitter with whether you want that one, and then they make it based on your likes.
No, I bet it's probably one of those breweries that, the contract breweries, I should say, where they have their facility and they might produce some of their own beers, but then they let other breweries that don't have facilities come in. They can pay them and they brew their stuff. That would be my guess, but I could be totally wrong because I don't know anything about this place.
Interesting. Well, I would definitely buy something from there again if I saw it, and
I would
that's.
definitely buy this. Was this a 4-pack, I'm assuming?
It was a 4-pack, yep, and it was reasonable.
16-ounce cans.
I think it was $8.99 for the 4-pack, which is pretty low. based on what you
$8.99
see.
and it is 6.8% alcohol, so yeah, that's pretty darn good.
And I could see myself drinking this, mowing my lawn at like 10 o'clock in the morning. That's definitely a doable thing right now.
Citra is definitely forward there, but it's not the only thing there. You're getting a couple of different those hops in there. It's really nice.
And do we know what gunpowder green tea is? Like, is there something different there, or do you not really have knowledge of green tea?
I don't know green tea, other than that it's this tea leaf that's green and it's good for you.
So
we're
gunpowder may just be the name of this, and they've listed it above green tea, or it may be a type of green tea.
Possibly, or maybe it's just the nickname of the brewer.
Ooh, yes.
Good old Gunpowder. Gunpowder Jones.
Charlie Gunpowder.
Charlie Gunpowder Jones from Eau Claire.
He's French, so we need to really work on his name. Pepe Gunpowder.
I was going to go Irish for a second there. That didn't really
Yeah,
work. with the
your
whole-
accent definitely went there. But the theme of the day is French. Also, the word of the day. I don't know. I'm impressed by it.
I do enjoy it, and I hope everyone's enjoying the weed whacking in the background. It's giving it a nice little ambiance.
Yeah, I could hear it. Why is somebody weed whacking at this time of night, though? Like, I think we're recording this. It's got to be close to 8 o'clock by now.
It is.
He's checking it.
It is
Vivo Fit.
8:08, and it is the sun is definitely going down. We are getting darker, and by the time we get our last beer, we will probably be doing this just from the light of the iPhone recording.
Which is all right. We do have a candle, which my wife so graciously offered. However, I don't have a lighter, so the candle will do us no good. And really, the mood that it was going to set if me and Tim sat here with a candle in between
Right.
us.
I mean, we might as well get a plate of spaghetti that we can share with no forks.
Correct. And then we also had the dogs. It would have been perfect. They could have shared with us. We could have all sucked the
Beautiful.
same string, met in the middle.
One meatball that I could have gently pushed across the table with my nose,
That is right.
because I'm a gentleman like that.
And I'm a tramp.
It's very true.
It works the way it works. We're both drinking again, so we apologize.
I apologize for nothing. I do not apologize for drinking because it's a wonderful habit.
I really like that.
I see the neighbor's fire pit about, 30 yards away from us?
Correct.
And it's kind of a shame that we can't just go light it.
I worried a little bit. I was going to have us do this around a fire pit, but with the wind today, I worried we may have ended
Well,
up
it seems
having
like the
more
wind
of
has
an
died
issue.
down, but maybe it's just because we're sheltered in this
Correct.
luxurious garage.
Hey, I actually think this is a good place to do this. I mean, it's quiet. There's not a lot going on. It's pretty peaceful. I am not complaining about this at all. I have not been able to sit in my garage for a long time, so good night.
Have you sat in your garage before?
I occasionally do.
I have never had a garage. I mean, not since I was I was probably 15, I think, when we moved into town, which had that one had a garage when we moved away. So the house that my parents live in now, that I was driving in, did not have a garage. The house that we bought in Davenport did not have a garage.
No.
And the house that I currently live in does not have a garage.
It has a garage.
It's a shed. I mean, technically, it probably was a garage 100 years ago. You could have gotten a Ford Model T in there. But you're not going to get a modern day car in there comfortably.
And I have the problem, I have too many garages. Right now, I currently have like 6 stalls, basically. Well, I have 5. We're currently sitting in a double stall garage. There's another double stall right next door. And then on my other property, we have a single stall. Plus, we have a 2-story garage, so we have an upstairs. If Tim could have walked upstairs, we totally would have went and sat up there.
And been
We could have
attacked
got
by
out the
pigeons.
binoculars, and we could have stared at people out the windows. It would have been amazing. Yeah, and the pigeons up there.
Got the pellet guns and shot at pigeons while we were drinking, too.
It would have changed the tone of everything that we're doing currently.
A very murderous podcast.
That's right.
But we now have these nice birds just like 20 yards away that are kind of scampering around listening to us. I think wanting to get the remnants of our beer, because birds like to drink too. Don't let them fool you.
I'm wondering if anybody were to walk by right now, what they would be thinking. Because it looks like we're just talking normally. However, our conversation is not like conversational at times. So I wonder what they would believe of us and how crazy they would think we are. However, some of the people in Wacoma are way crazier than we could ever be.
Well, they
and
would
might yell and cuss at
probably
us.
see these bottles of different flavored beers and they're, what by golly is that? That ain't Busch Light.
That's true. I think Wacoma is more of a 40 town though. Like, I'm thinking they're drinking like big 40s of something. It's not Mickey's.
Little-
Mickey's is way too classy.
Oh, Mickey's
for
is too
Wacoma.
classy, so we got to be like Old English or below
Yeah,
that.
like Colt 45 or
Oh,
something
good
like
old
that.
Colt 45, yeah.
Because occasionally I'll come out in the morning and we'll have Keystone cans laying in our yard.
Oh, well, that's smooth.
Yeah, it's not classy, and I know it's not me that's drinking it. So when it's in the yard, I'm just, pleased as can be. But I don't picture many of the people in Wacoma drinking quality craft beer.
I do remember back in the day drinking plenty of Mickey's, both in the 40s and in the little grenade green bottles.
Oh yeah, I know what those look
Yeah,
like.
Mickey's was a great starter beer, and certainly not when I was underage, because that would have been illegal. And
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Tim would never do that.
No.
But that's what I'm talking about with our podcast of ones that we would not drink now. Like, you just bring in all that stuff, and I bet we could get like 10 beers for like $7.
Yeah.
And you won't even need to finish them, because the reality is that you only spent $7, where the beers that we have now,
I would probably finish in 40 of Mickey's, though.
and
Just
then
for old time's sake.
Because where are we doing this podcast at? Because if we both are finishing a 40 of Mickey's, one of us is going to have to leave, and that's not going to go well.
Well, I mean, both of us have extra bedrooms, so I suppose one of us could stay there, or we both have wives that maybe we could convince to be a DD, although we would be in the doghouse for that.
Or we could convince Chad that at some time we need to go camping,
And we just
and
have
we
a
could
camper
do a
right
special camping
there.
podcast.
That is actually a very good idea.
And Chad, as much as he would not be great talking, if you got enough Mickeys in him,
Then
he'd
he
probably
would
be
go.
all right. So just throwing that out there.
I
I
think
mean,
that's a
and
great
that's even a
idea.
Larry night too. You throw in Larry. So, our podcast with special guests Larry and Chad.
Chad's podcast would have to be late if we're camping, because he doesn't like to eat till about 11 o'clock at night. It's just what I've heard. I mean,
Yeah.
no personal experience there or anything.
Well, we would just eat by
Not
ourselves
that I
earlier.
was starving at 6 o'clock already, and he also only likes to go camping when it's 3,000 degrees outside.
More reason to drink 40s of Mickey's.
That is actually a good point.
So that may be a special podcast some night,
And that lucky son of a bitch has one of those new trail keg growlers. I don't know if you've seen those.
No, you told me about his though, and we contemplated how much something like that would cost.
His actually is I think he said it was a 2-gallon growler. So that's ridiculous right there. But it's the double-walled insulated growler.
And you said 2 gallons.
2 gallons
What
is
do
what
you
he told
ever
me.
need a 2-gallon growler?
Why would
for?
you not need a 2-gallon growler? I mean, I don't know what
We
your
were debating
problem
a
is.
64-ounce growler, and how is that a gallon?
No. That's,
128 is a gallon, right?
Yeah, that's half gallon. So.
Yeah, we were debating
Yeah.
what to do with a 64-ounce. Now imagine you walk up with
Well,
a 2-gallon.
a weekend of camping with Mickey's, you would want 2 gallons.
But Mickey's comes in like appropriate
40
serving
ounces.
sizes. You don't need. I don't know. That seems insane.
But the other special thing about the trail cake is that it actually has its own little tap handle on top. So you don't even have to pour anything. You just grab that little son of a bitch tap handle and pour it right into your glass. It's a beautiful thing.
Tim sounds jealous, is what I'm hearing here.
I
but I'm still
am extremely jealous because that's what I wanted for
trying
Christmas.
to figure out though, what do you
and I
do
did
with
not
it?
get
Like,
that. I wouldn't probably get a 2-gallon one, but a 64-ounce one would be fantastic.
because when they say trail growler, I picture 2 gallons, and I picture trying to carry 2 gallons of liquid with you into the forest.
I don't know what kind of hike you wouldn't do with 2 gallons of beer.
Well, I just saw The Wild with Reese Witherspoon, who we compared to Julia Stiles earlier.
Same person.
And she definitely tried to carry in something that heavy, and it just didn't go well, Tim. She ended up throwing her boots off the side of a mountain, and it's all because things were too heavy. So, if we've learned anything from The Wild with Reese Witherspoon, it's that you can't carry that much
Julia
stuff.
Stiles. I don't know why you would throw your boots off the side of a mountain, because they're not going to be the heavy thing. I mean,
Oh,
they're
it
on-
wasn't actually the reason she threw them off. They
they're
were hurting
on-
her feet, Tim.
They're on your feet. Why
But I
would you throw
changed the
them?
story because I knew one person who has never seen that movie, Tim.
Me.
Although it's because he, hasn't had time to watch it alone when he can cry it out.
Well, right. I do need a good crying movie every now and then.
Tim, I'm showing you your beer that made it
Oh,
through the week
yeah.
in my house, even
It
though I
did.
told you.
It made an entire week at Jared's house. I left it last week after we had our bonfire, and I told him not to drink it, and I'll be damned. The son of a bitch didn't drink it.
And Tim, feel this beer can.
Uh-oh.
I think I've made an invention. No, feel how cold that is. Walmart bag full of ice? Do we need to start marketing these?
Have you ever been fishing? Because that's what you do.
But why is Shark Tank? Why are we not on there? Because I would buy a Walmart bag
Do you hear
full
that,
of ice.
folks? That's hop rising.
Yeah, that's Tim going to the bathroom and me pouring a beer
I
in
do
the
kind of
other
have
side.
to pee, but
Well, he can't
part of
go
this
pee
garage
here.
is open, so
We have to get it a little bit darker before he's going to be able to pee, or we can go to the dirt side of the garage and he can pee in the garage.
and pee on your 4-wheeler that you don't have a license for.
That happens. Whoa, I believe I get a lot more of this beer than Tim did
Yeah.
because I thought he knew how to pour a beer. And so I saw how high his was, and it turns out it was all just foam, and I ended up with way more beer.
And this is, what is it? Hop
know. This is
Rising.
your beer.
It's
You
a
need to
double
read it.
IPA. Yep, Hop Rising double IPA.
And there's a crazy farmer with a pitchfork
From
stabbed into a hut.
Squatters Craft Beer.
At least it's not from Squatter's Crap Beer.
Right, because that would be not tasty.
But imagine the label on that can if it was called Squatter's Crap.
It'd be much like that brown note.
I'm not sure what that is, but
This is a
I can
9%
imagine.
alcohol.
Did you say
double
90% alcohol?
9. It's not Everclear.
Oh.
It's not an Everclear beer.
Maybe that is a show we need to do, where we just take crappy beers and add Everclear to them.
Everclear.
And then we
A good
try
old
to...
40s at Mickey with half a liter of Everclear.
Well, the whole theory of the podcast is we start off at the beginning and we get beers and we add Everclear to them, and by the end of it, we have to be able to tell them what the alcohol percentage is. Tell me that's not a genius idea. We start off where we're good at math, and then by the end, we're even better at math because we've drank in so much Everclear.
I would say that's not a genius idea. Last time I drank Everclear, I was surfing on an ironing board and I broke some ribs.
But was that the last time you broke some ribs?
No,
Huh.
because once you break them once, I mean, I think I probably, okay, I said that incorrectly. I don't think I actually broke my ribs from surfing on the ironing board. I broke them because I lay down on the picnic table and rolled off. And but I did still finish my Monster Burger afterwards because it was delicious.
That is a feat in itself. I didn't know Monster Burgers were around back then.
They were.
It must have been towards the beginning of the time of Monster Burgers.
It was the phase 2 of Monster Burgers, actually.
What was the first phase?
It was actually the ultimate bacon cheeseburger from Hardee's, and they have never duplicated it since because they had this amazing sauce that they put on it, and it was a long burger, and with 2 patties and bacon. Oh,
I didn't know Hardee's ever did a long burger. I
Yeah.
thought that was exclusively a Burger King thing.
No, Hardee's actually perfected it, and then for some reason they went away from it and did the Monster Burger, where they took away that fantastic sauce and just went for straight
Mayo or...
lard mayo.
And I mean, that is some of the world's most disgusting looking mayo. If that fell on your lap, you would have to convince people of what it was. Because if you
It's
told them it was mayo, they're not believing
kind of
you.
something like Mary,
Yeah.
but
It's a gelatinous goop, and it scares people.
I have
is
not
what
had a
it
Monster
is.
Burger in a long time. But I tell you what, if you are going to have a greasy burger, I don't think you can get a better burger than that.
I would agree. I mean, just Hardee's in general, whether it's the Monster Burger or whether it's their Carl's Jr. Special, it doesn't matter. They're just greasy, nasty, big burgers. And it's
Carl's
one burger.
Jr. Special sounds very similar to a Cleveland Steamer, if you ask me.
They probably are the same, but, you know, you would only know about those things, Tim. So, Tim, you've tried this beer that we just poured. I feel like we're not giving Squatters Craft Beer what they need. And why did you buy something that says Squatters on it? Like, that's my first question.
I was trying to put together a make-your-own six-pack, and I needed one more. And at that point, you're going for value. And so you have to go for a high-alcohol beer.
Where were you at, though, that make your own six-pack where you could pick up a $1.99 one and it went into your six-pack?
I was at Happy's in Cedar Falls.
And they allow you to throw in whatever price beer you want and you get the six-pack price?
They have coolers, and they add up the individual price of the cans or bottles. And then if you do a six-pack, I think you get a discount towards that.
I see. And are we sponsored by Happy's tonight? Is that what I've heard? And then they're going to pay us in, like, gift cards and stuff to be able to come there? Or they're going to hold a bottle of Pentagram? Is that what I had heard from you?
Zach, I think that's a wonderful idea, and I'm going to hold you to that.
And we'll mention them on every podcast. Like, even once they've done sponsoring us, once they've paid us, it's, you know, gratuity. We'll pay it back. Like, we have no problem
And I
with
was
that.
actually told by the very friendly, helpful lady at the register that this was the owner of Happy's favorite beer.
Really? Again, I'm struggling with Squatters. Like, Squatters just makes me think of somebody going into an outhouse and, like, they don't want to sit on the old wooden seat because they're afraid it's going to break, they're going to fall through, land in the sheet, and that's what a squatter is to me. However, if we go to the other version, where a squatter is somebody who takes land that doesn't belong to them, and they take it, and then when the landowner comes back and they say, hey, this is
Squatter's
my
rights.
land. Squatter's right.
Yeah.
I respect those
I
people.
think
so.
that's more what they're going for rather than the whole outhouse feel.
I would hope so. I mean, that just gives you a bad image when you're drinking a beer and
I think
that's
this
what's
is a
going on.
pretty solid double IPA. It's got that more of a grassy hop flavor to it.
It does taste. I mowed my lawn today, and it tastes a lot like the smell that I had throughout
I would
the whole
agree.
day.
I did not mow your lawn today, but I would agree that that's the taste that you're getting.
Can you identify the hops that are in this, Tim?
They grow from a vine and are harvested once a year. And
But what variety?
Added to the boil.
Name the variety. I'm reading it, and on the back of the can currently.
I have absolutely no idea.
That's great, because the can doesn't say either. I just was challenging
Okay.
you. And if you had said anything, you would have been right.
Challenge
but you
accepted.
failed.
I'm going to go Nugget
And
and
what?
Willamette.
Correct.
That would be the natural order for a double IPA, of course.
I think he's making stuff up.
Oh, do you hear the birds singing as I'm stretching? And
I was like, I don't know what's
it's
going
been a
on.
long week, so a couple of good beers is very nice.
Well, we've had 4 in 48 minutes.
I might have to
And
go
when
back to
you,
your house and sober up a little bit, but
well, the great thing is that when you're splitting it, we've actually only had 2.
We've actually only had 2
in
beers.
48 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
not bad.
that bad. And the next one that we have is that low alcohol.
Correct.
I don't know that
saved
we'll-
Tim's beer for last.
We won't be able to read the label because it's getting very dark in here.
Tim's complaining, but I gave him a nice place to sit. We're outside. The ambiance is beautiful. And again, ambiance, I believe that's French. So,
Sounds
again,
French.
back to our French thing that we started out.
And there is a blue Optimus Prime parked across the way. So.
I think it's actually a boat.
Well, I meant right there. If you
Oh.
actually turn your head, 20 degrees you'll see Optimus Prime blue.
I see it now. That's actually the neighbor's truck. Someday we may be sponsored by them, but right now I'm not mentioning their name because we're not sponsored by them.
But Happy's, fantastic. Happy's Liquor in Cedar Falls. Great service, great selection.
And even right now, like, we're not sponsored by Happy's. We get that. Happy's, we're fine with you. Don't be mad at us.
But
we'll
you
work
really
with
do
you.
have great selection and great service. I have never had a problem there.
Well, what I'm
Always
saying is
awesome.
when their stuff goes on clearance, and then it sits in that little cart or however they do clearance stuff, and then it stays there, and then 2 weeks later still nobody's bought it, give it to us. We'll review it. We'll deal with it. And then we'll move on with our lives. But we'll always mention you because, you know, you're in the building where Hy-Vee Liquor used to be. Hy-Vee got too big for their britches, and they moved on. But you're a lot friendlier, and that makes a better place to me.
Definitely true. Much better service than what the Hy-Vee has.
And I mean, the Hy-Vee people have been creepy. Like, when I go into Hy-Vee Liquor, a lot of times they'll, like, try to chat me up and try to convince me to buy things that I don't want anything to do with. And I'm like, Hy-Vee people, leave me alone. You're wearing your little thing. Helpful smile in every aisle. You're not in an aisle. Like, quit being helpful, because go away from
Maybe
me.
they're just attracted to Sasquatches.
It could happen, but, you know, I can't be there for everybody, Tim.
I know this is an audio podcast, but Jared is covered in hair from toe to head. And that's not exaggeration. He actually was it second place?
No, I was first place.
Oh, okay. First place, but it wasn't really featured like he should have been in this magazine contest for the hairiest man in the U.S.
And I don't even remember was it Jane magazine or something?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to you.
I had the magazine somewhere, but they were like, they wanted me to fly out to do the Today Show for this stuff, but it was such a rinky-dink little organization that they wouldn't pay to fly you out to there.
Who doesn't fly you out? I mean, how can they not buy a freaking airplane ticket?
Correct.
I mean, maybe they were just afraid that you weren't current on your shots and the airport
That
wouldn't
could
let
be.
you in.
But whatever. I didn't get to go because they wouldn't fly me out.
We've all seen how King Kong ended, so
It's true.
yeah, Jared would have been on top of the control tower swatting at airplanes, and it would not have been pretty.
And maybe that's why they didn't fly me out. They could see that coming. They knew what was going to happen, and they just chose not to deal with that at that time.
Well, Top Rising, the Squatters from Squatters there. I'd say that's a solid double IPA. Now maybe it's older. It has been sitting around for a couple of months. So,
Been in my fridge since last weekend, so it's getting old.
I don't know. Definitely not my favorite, but definitely not a bad one.
Where
it's
is
worth
this
trying.
brewery? Do you know?
No, and it's too dark in here for me to try to read the can. So
I'm trying to read the can. It's from Utah.
Utah.
Well, no wonder it sucks. It doesn't actually suck. I'm sorry, Squatters. But if I'm going to choose a double IPA, yours would not be the one I'm choosing.
Right, because you are Mormon, and nobody likes Mormon beer, apparently.
Well, how are they even making beer in Utah? Isn't that like against... You can have like 12 wives, but you can't make beers?
Right.
But it makes sense they would make a double IPA. Are you getting that? Like, one
Well, a
IPA
double-
is not
that-
enough?
Oh,
We have to... There's two!
I didn't even catch that. They should really have like a quadruple IPA.
Yeah, like an 11-tuple IPA.
Yeah.
Whatever 11 times would be.
Because last week we did have a triple IPA
We did.
from another Denver brewery that was very delicious.
What was that? Because I don't remember that at all.
E3. I don't know if that's actually the name of the brewery or the beer.
I think
don't
that
know,
was the beer.
but it was delicious. I don't know the name of this one that you're opening right now. It
Is
does
there
have
a good way to open wax
seal.
seal?
I have not found one. I usually try to take a knife around the wax first, and then I hit it with the bottle opener. But if you have
And
a
he
good,
just hits it with the bottle opener.
Right.
And then his wife comes in and goes, "Why are you hitting
Yeah.
the bottle?"
Well,
and
I'm
then she
frustrated.
opens it for him.
Yes.
And it works.
I have found that in my life, if I can't comprehend something, I just hit it over and over until somebody fixes it for me. And it usually works. And that one's
And this
spilled
beer
out.
is
Hurry! Get a
spewing.
cup under it! Get a cup under it!
A cup under it? How do you put a cup
I
under
don't
a
know.
bottle?
Oh, we just had a major party foul there.
Well, I don't know.
Whoa!
What is wrong with this beer?
It's foamy McFoams a lot.
This beer is garbage. My review is it sucks.
This is a $9 12-ounce beer that is all foam and no beer.
Well, like, did they seriously just bottle foam? Because my hand is gross now. We're sitting in a garage, and I have crap all over my hand, and there's nowhere to
I can
wash
pee
it.
on it.
That is not going to help. I did
Well,
not get stung by a jelly.
Maybe it was like a jellyfish that you just needed the acidity.
I'm upset with this beer. Why did it do that? Why does the beer do that, Tim?
Well, I don't know. Did you shake it?
That would be a no.
Okay, so this is called Passion Swing American Fruited IPA. It's going to take us another 10 minutes before we can actually try it because there is literally a centimeter of beer on the bottom of our glass.
We might just need to start
all the way
passing
to
the bottle
pint.
back and forth
I think we could.
instead of actually drinking out of our glass.
Here we go. Passion Swing, Passion Swig.
He's drinking it. I'm just letting you know. It was going to get quiet in here for a second.
Be careful because it foams up in your mouth too.
What is wrong with this crap beer? We are not sponsored by whoever made this crap.
Yeah, it's really not very good.
Why does it foam up like that? What is wrong with this beer?
It's like whoop, coming out. All right,
I
I'm
am
going to
not
end
glad that
this
you
podcast
brought
because we're done with this beer, and it's getting dark, and we got to pee, and we got to walk like 3 blocks over to Jared's house to actually use the bathroom.
or
So,
just be outside.
Thank you for joining us in this drunken stupidity that we call a podcast, and we hope that you join us again sometime when maybe we have some interesting guests and can talk
We'll
about
probably
some other
still
stuff.
be drinking this beer that won't quit foaming.
Right. I don't know, because you kind of drink it twice. You drink it once, and then it foams up, and you drink it again.
And then when you like burp it up and it's in your mouth again, you drink it 3 times.
Right. It's not very good. So
Not impressed.
stay away from this passion swing. They don't know what they're doing. So, all right.
Totally.
Good night, everybody.